Hello and welcome to Radhaa Publishing House. This is Radhaa, and I am here today with poems from the heart author and poet Selma Harwell. Welcome.
Thank you. Really excited to be here.
It
Yeah.
is so wonderful to catch up with you again, as you were in Stories of the Goddess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's been a while, but it turns out most everything I write ends up sounding like poetry, which was a new discovery recently. And yeah, so I just feel really grateful to be able to participate in this book with you.
Oh my goodness, we are so grateful. And you are such a talented woman. I've known you for so many years and you're amazing at so many things. I'd love if you just share a little bit about you and your passion, the work you do.
Yeah, wow. I'll start. Thank you. That's, leaving it broadly, but also a focus for me to get to the place that seems to be very consistent, that my, spirituality leads me. My poetry is spiritual.
Mhm.
And at the same time, so focused on motherhood because I always wanted to be a mom. I'm now not a grandmother, and that frees me to be able to work with other moms. And so I'm 72, my kids are fully grown. I've gone through probably every phase and of motherhood so far. And I think not being a grandmother um, has really shown me new things also. So all of it's for a purpose. And uh, so besides the being, the mother, I want to start also with my stand for the world is that motherhood is honored as the source for world peace. And that's important to me in the way that it came because I heard the phrase. And the first time I heard it, I was like, I burst into tears, which is not uncommon when I'm moved. However, it also, I know it's speaking from my heart. And as much as I knew the beauty of it and how much it touched me, it didn't mean I knew what to do with it. So that's the place where we begin listening. And then it also didn't mean that I did not know what to do. It's like there's so many things in life that I've discovered that happen that way, that I'll be being led. And in the moment, I'm just following and I don't realize it till years later. And that's what happened by the time I became a mom,
Mhm.
that I had been willing it, wanting it, for so many years. And at 23, when I had my son, um, it was, I ended up being a pioneer for birth and
Oh.
first Lamaze with him in the hospital. My daughter was home birth. So I went down that avenue. Now, I didn't get to the poetry until later in life, I say. I guess I could put it, maybe I was around 40-ish or something. And I was going through something and I told my friend I felt torn about it. She'd already heard something about it before. And she said, Selma, do me a favor and write a poem. I'd not written a poem,
Mhm.
but something else that came to me about that later, because the poem came just full on as soon as she told me that, to sit down with the paper, and it just flowed. And it surprised me. But when my poems kept coming to me that way, like, surprise, if you're going to
Yeah.
write a poem now, you're moved, or whatever it would be,
Yeah.
they would just fall on the page. And I'm like, how does that happen? And I remembered, I mean, I knew every Beatles song there was and sang it all with them, and, with the albums for many years and still love them. And I thought, that's poetry. It's all poetry. So, I got developed when I didn't know I was being developed. And now I guess I might have mentioned that the things that I write when I'm not thinking that I'm writing poetry, if I read them aloud, people think it's poetry. So I'm done fighting that, thinking that it needs to be a certain way.
Yeah, right?
because the women that I'm in a group or writing group with are prolific writers in their own way. And I love the feedback that we have for each other. And I just thought, I'm not that kind of writer right now. Who knows? Maybe that other part will develop. But for now, it's accepting where it is. So the piece that I've chosen, it touches my heart so much that I'll just say sometimes, and maybe I should say often, it moves me to tears. And it is about a hard part of having gone through a time with my son when he was, I don't want to give it away really, but it's called No More Diffusing Life.
Okay.
And I figure it's touching from a very deep place that is relevant in the world still. And this was 20 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
It does have to do with addiction, and which is more than I thought I would say. But I do have his permission also because he's well and thriving. Yeah.
Oh,
And we're in the space in Los Angeles that he and his father created as artists and business of building fences. And we have an event space. So it's a thriving business, and
do you want to
it's awesome.
what your gallery is called?
Pardon? Could you it cut out when what you said?
Do you want to share what your gallery is called so people know?
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's called Art and Space. And on Instagram, you would look up Art and Space LA. So
Beautiful.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, I could leave that out usually. Oh, I thought my poem was on my phone, but I forgot. It's on to where I have to change the screen. So is there anything else that you wanted before I
Yeah, I love how so somebody asked you to write a poem. Like that's literally how it started for you. You were invited to be a poet and you didn't know it.
Exactly.
I've known you for quite a long time. I mean, how many years have we known each other for?
Probably close to 15, I think.
Yeah,
Isn't
we
that
used to
crazy?
be almost neighbors in Studio City Hills.
Yes.
But I've always known you as a poetic soul.
Oh,
The
right.
way you,
Thank you.
it's something about you. You're so poetic in everything that you do, the way that you share your art. It's just part of your soul. And so, yeah, it's no surprise to me that you're such
Right.
a poet.
Well, I am glad you brought that up because I didn't mention that, I also do the traditional method of pottery, which is, oh my gosh, it's, that we dug the clay, we did all the many steps, and they come out just like so, they're my new babies, right? When they're done. And there's a turntable, but there's no pottery wheels. So they're built and so many steps and so much heart goes into them. And yes, and that was another of the poems. The first night that I was going home in the 3 hours that I took in that first class, the poem just came, and it just, by the time I got home 25 minutes later, just spilled on the page. And yeah, so those are all different kind of poems that I picked for other poems, but they are, I promise, very spiritual as well, and supportive of women. Those are there are 4 different poems that I picked, other than the ones I've mentioned today.
I know you've got quite a collection, it's time for you to do your full book
Yeah.
possibly. But
Yeah.
let's hear this beautiful poem that.
Okay. Let me come find it. It was here a minute ago. Let's see.
The elusive.
Yeah, the elusive poem that is beautiful technology that goodness, it's not coming from there. So you might get a different version if I go on my phone.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
Either version is great.
Yeah. I guess I better do that.
Mhm.
I don't know where it went. It was working before. Oh, no, it's not doing it that way. Well, all right. No longer diffusing life. The man is using, and he's losing more than his smile. A return to innocence now. It's just confusing everything, abusing the self, losing his sense of self, his life as he knows it. And we lose him all the while. That's all. No more than that, except our smile. It is addiction, no matter which drug or which distraction. It is always a seductive invitation to lose a piece of yourself, a contradiction to life, which is death just the same. Not to minimize the graveness of using, actually to dramatize and emphasize. Loss of self is still a loss of self. Whether we allow small ways every day throughout the day, breaking promise, breaking trust, breaking truth. Ultimately, it is all heartbreaking, soul breaking, self breaking. How do I mirror the emptiness I see in his eyes? With love, by standing for him and holding him as completely whole, the way he always was and is. It's the only magic I know. When he looks into my eyes in his faraway glance, he sees his true self, enveloped by that stance. He no longer has any space for avoidance. Instead, in the moment, he builds his resistance. One moment in many brings brave fulfillment. To nestle and nurture his willingness as new cravings of support each and every moment until it becomes his sport of strength, persistence, and endurance. We do nothing alone, no matter what, unless it would be choosing. We live those choices every day. And now, every day, choosing. No longer diffusing light, relentlessly holding his truth as his perfection. Brings us resurgence of the power he owns that rewards the collective love we honed. No longer diffusing life. Thank you.
I feel that in every cell in my body, you know? Feel that just wow. In my
Yeah.
honoring
So
them.
thank you. Yeah, that's a time, to later that I call, the drama of being a mama. And so now part of what I'm working on is being a mama drama dissolver. It's like fresh words. Yeah, fresh words for it. Because there's always the other side of it. We don't know what that is, but going through it is what must happen.
Mm.
And there was so much support for me to be able to get, not just me, for him to get it for himself, like I say, empowering him. Yeah. And so that's why I love working with moms, because every day there's something that comes up that it doesn't all have to be tough, but it's life anyway. I'm just focused on moms because that's where I relate from. And but it is the way life goes, as we know.
Wow, that's so powerful. I love how you alchemized everything that you went through with your son, and you use it as a lesson, but also to help others, and I really feel that's important in life, that we don't just go through something so tumultuous, gut-wrenching, so life-altering, that we don't now know how to go through those things better, or to help others who might be, going through something like that. So we take that, I guess, lesson, or that download, or that experience, and there's a great compassion for others, because we understand, that there's so many others going through that, and especially now more than ever with this epidemic. It's so sad, and it's affected so many beautiful, beautiful young souls. And the helping and supporting the mothers is where it starts, because the mother's connection to their child, there's that soul connection. And I'd like to ask you about how did you visualize your son? Like, how did you cope with this during the process? What was your vision for him as a mother going through kind of like a life or death kind of situation?
Yeah. It's like it says in there, but it was for me, it was every time I saw him and I knew that he was using, because he lived close to home. He was I guess even that was a godsend, that he was needing to be close to home, like at his age. And when I knew that he was using, that I would just hold that place for him of knowing who he was, because I knew he had no clue in the moment.
Yeah.
That you can't. We barely know ourselves even when we're not using anything. So it's for me, I look at any of the addiction, we're just kind of gone in that moment. We've like let, I don't know, the part of ourselves that's not helpful just take over. So as a mom, just being able to be with him and just having that communication through the eyes, and just communicating the love the best I could, not necessarily in words each time. So
That's powerful.
yeah.
I really think that's so powerful, because a mother she's to hold the frequency and hold the love for her child, and hold that groundedness, so that they can come back to that. If they get lost, they can come home, come back,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
um, I just I just really took in what you said about holding it, looking into the eyes. When he couldn't remember himself, you
Mhm.
were the one who remembered for him. You held that vision
And
of
as
hope.
moms, as moms, we don't really forget that, and it's not like they can know what that even is, because they haven't done that. They're the child at whatever age. They're still our children. And yeah, so, and I mean, in coaching, we do that for another, and it's different, but it's the exchange of souls. And how is this person going to achieve what they want for their life? And how is my assistance going to clear for them to find that for themselves, because we have to do it for ourselves.
Yes. And that's what I call, like being a pillar of light, being that pillar of light so that, yeah, your children can come back, they can find their way back. And it's easy to get lost in this world. There's so much pain, so much trauma, and so many distractions, so many energies that want to pull people off their divine path. And it's very important in this life, in this world, to have a pillar of light in our lives, to be the pillar of light, to also have a pillar of light, because we all forget who we are at times.
And I don't really want to make it seem like, like it was the easy thing to do, because as moms, the very first place it's going to go, because it's affecting us. Are we sad about it? Yes. Are we hurt? Yes. Do we know what to do? Not really. No. That it's the first thing is feeling that hurt, but I knew that wasn't going to help him. And so it really had to be fully about what I could do for him. So at that point, it's like, okay, Mom, stand aside.
Yeah.
This is what needs to happen for him. And I think, I can think of even an example with my daughter when, when we were flying in an airplane. She was 14. And I'm saying I've flown most of my life. And we were flying back from or towards LA, and we hit the winds. And at the particular, Santa Ana time, the worst winds, the timing was just like, that perfect storm or something, to where it just was bouncing like crazy. And I was afraid, even though I had not ever experienced anything like that all the years of flying. But I was holding onto her thumbs because that helps worry.
Mm.
And I was grounding myself for her. So I didn't have time to deal with my fear. It was like setting it aside as a mom. You're doing it for them. And it's automatic as a mom a lot of times. So it's not easy, but it's automatic sometimes, I will say.
I think some women have more instincts than others, depending on, I feel like some women don't nurture their children, and I think that's a very interesting phenomenon.
True.
I'm very curious about that as well. But it comes very naturally to some women that we, you put your child first, and like what you did, you put yourself aside. So you could have had a big drama about what was going on with your son, because it's life or death kind of a situation. But I really like, wow, honor you that you actually put yourself aside and said, okay, how can I be of service to you? How can I be of service to you in this time that you need?
Yeah, and I wouldn't go as far to say as it's not like all the drama got put aside, right? It's all you're in all of it. And there's just those moments where the connection is what was needed. And I knew that I could give that. And so it is something. And it's a rebonding in family all over again. It's a rebonding in marriage and the whole relationship. It's rebonding with my daughter around it. Yeah. So it's just like, again, like I say, I want to make it practical to life, that we forget we're going to go through stuff. I mean, that's part of what we're doing here. If not all of it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. And so the drama can be going, and also somehow the victories as well, pulling us through until we get through it. And then we have some wisdom around it. And so that's to be shared.
Absolutely. Those gems are powerful. And I know that there are a lot of mothers right now that are going through that situation right now, and they don't know how to deal with it, you know? And so I do believe that you earn your wisdom through the experience of the tumultuous coming all the way through to the other side of it. And that's something that is meant to be shared to others so that they can learn, they can grow, they can find new ways of dealing with traumatic experiences that they may have not known how to. And you know, I really, and also it's like you didn't say, and I hear it clearly how you didn't shame him at the time. You loved him. You loved him. You loved him.
Yeah. And it was a long period of time that we went through that. You know, I mean, that's just even acknowledging for me, like it's a miracle that he got through, because we have many examples of people in our lives that don't make it through. And that's actually more common. So you know, I'm grateful for the gift of all of that, and that it is possible. And yeah, that's all I can say. Yeah.
A mother,
I
mother's belief in
yeah.
her child. I feel like, well, you know, when you wrap your love and energy around him, it's like very angelic, and you're holding, you know, that's how I envision it when you're talking about it.
Mm,
Just wrapping
oh,
angel wings around him and protecting him in some way, you know, and also claiming him with your love, like, I love you, this is my son, I love him, like really really seeing him, like, I think you said sometime, maybe it was yesterday, about how you envisioned him uh as a whole you know, as his healthy version. Is that true?
yes. Yeah. Holding him as, yeah, it's actually part of the poem. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. He sees his true self enveloped by my stance. Like I said, this is a little bit different version, I think, maybe, but but that is maybe why you asked about it today. Yeah, yesterday we had the pleasure of hearing the other poets in the book, hearing each other and supporting each other, and so that was also just very moving in itself to be able to be a part of this group this way.
Yeah, I
Thank
was
you.
my heart was like, phew, so happy. Totally joyful.
Yeah.
Love to be moved, you know, it's when you hear the words, when I hear the words coming from your mouth, and I can feel it, I can understand you in that moment in a way maybe even deeper than if I just read it. So there's something really really profound about actually hearing the words through the poet's mouth, you know.
Yes. Yeah. And as some of us said yesterday too, even as the poet speaking it into, you know, a number of people that are supporting one another, you know, we're already exchanging love by giving our listening,
Yeah.
and then that just empowers it further. It does. It was a amazing experience
Mhm,
both ways.
mhm.
I've read poetry uh, quite a few times while I've been in Los Angeles, and not before then. But um, you know, it's a different situation. Some of it was during storytelling, and that was, you know, part of. I'd forgotten about this one actually, but one that I have about my mom's passing, and because it was 11 days of passing, and yeah, there's always something about having the group of people that are there, not just supporting each other, but also becomes a benefit towards, you know, raising money for something else that's meaningful. And so it just deepens it, you
Yeah.
know, your experience, your exchange. Yeah, exchange of heart. So again, the poems of the heart couldn't be a better title. Yeah.
I really love that.
Yeah.
It's like you can drop into someone else's reality of their experience in that moment, like instantly, and I think it's hard to do that in a normal everyday life. So I think that's what sets apart the poetry, is that rawness. That poem was so beautiful and heart, it was, wow, I could just feel the pain and the grief, but I could feel the beauty. And when I believe you have a line about looking at your son, and it's like I
Oh,
can see it,
yeah.
it's so clear to me how you held his gaze and called him back home with just your look, because your love, it was emanating from your love. You were calling him back.
Yeah. To himself and holding him as who he always was. Yeah, that's what it was,
Oh.
similar to that. Yes.
Do you want to read that line?
I was wanting to find it, but once again, let's see, it's a little elusive now.
It really struck me though. I felt
Yeah.
the power of your glances at him. And I felt the power, and I also felt his resurgence as he
Yeah.
looked at you. I felt that.
Oh yeah, it's a little, yeah, here it is. How do I mirror the emptiness I see in his eyes with love by standing for him and holding him as completely whole the way he always was and is? It's the only magic I know. That's what that is. And then when he looks into my eyes in his faraway glance, he sees his true self enveloped by my stance. That might have been,
Yes. Yeah, I mean, both. It was
both. Yeah.
it was so clear to me. I felt like I saw him from his perspective, and um and him kind of in and out, and just seeing his mother's eyes, and that love is captivating. Love brings us back home to ourselves, if it's really genuine love, if it's real love
Yeah.
with the highest intentions, it will bring us home. It will bring us home.
Yeah.
That poem is truly prolific in so many ways.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you for saying that. I now I understand why I tear up during it, because part of it is like, how many times can I read this and and be moved by it? But it's saying what it needs to say, and yeah. So thank you.
Here.
I get it.
Here. And is there another poem that you would like to read before we?
I'm thinking the goddess one, because you requested that. It's a shorter poem. It's lighter, but it's also good. So, oh wait, that's a different one. Embrace Grace. There's another one that's in there. The Goddess Express. It's a call. Yeah. Goddess, arise from within. The spirit of you that has always been and ever shall be. Be the goddess you are, for you've come so far, having risen the bar in front of you. Give in to yourself. Step up. Step in to the self that is you and have ever been. Shining from the inside out. Shine brightly, light fairy, lightly, inwardly blessed, gracefully pressed, truly expressed. You of the skies that never dies, sometimes hidden in disguise. Goddess, arise from within, the spirit of you that has always been and ever shall be, delightful. Go through the setbacks meant for query, then listen, and you are less the worry. The wings of prayer you get to borrow each time you gratefully relinquish sorrow. Listen and flee, not away, but near, flee. Free your soul and just be. Goddess, arise from within, the spirit of you that has always been and ever shall be.
I love that. That was like, felt like pure plasma light just coming through. I felt, yeah, I felt like a cleansing shower, you know, to like get to the core of who we are as women, too. Remembering the goddess within us. And that poem was, wow, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And that one went actually with your work
My
on
chapter.
chapter, yeah. And do you want to just give us a little insight on your chapter while we're here?
Oh, the chapter was called Earth Goddess.
Mm,
And I actually called it that because I was telling about an experience that I had with Amma, the hugging saint.
I'm so
And she's so grounded that her abilities to hug people with pure love is astounding to witness. And it was a huge, I'm going to say, activation, transmission for me. When I've talked about, you know, easily crying, even for others, I cried and purified myself, not knowing, but just like, again, the tears, if I can't help them, they're coming. To witness that level of love, I cried for 5 hours before I was able to have her bless me. And so, yeah, in that shares the experience of what that was. And it was another, I mean, like I felt it coursing through me. And so I won't go into so many details on that, but it's in there. It's in the chapter. And, it was getting to share her and what, she brought for me. But it was that, kind of like that shower that you're talking about now that I think of it. I never thought of that before calling it that before you said. But there was the purification. There was like whatever I emptied was filled again. This vessel was filled. And my name Selma means vessel.
oh,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. You do your poetry,
Yeah.
great, beautiful goddess vessels and different
Yes.
poet, your pottery is poetry. It's really beautiful. It's
Thank you.
beautiful. But wow, wow, wow. I really must hug I could use a hug like
Yeah. Yep. I
that.
think, oh gosh, let's see what she might be here. Let's see. She might be here this week.
Okay, well, I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up. My goodness.
Yeah.
My goodness. Wow, wow. Well, that's such a perfect poem for that, and it explains it so divinely. Divinely so,
Mm.
that experience. I felt it. I felt, renewal is the feeling.
Uh-huh.
And that's the power of poetry. It's a poet when it comes from the heart, when it really comes from our heart, you can feel it, and it has a transmutation quality to it. There is this element of alchemizing, activation, transmutation.
Yeah.
And so that's how I know. I when I resonate with somebody's poetry, is it bringing forward that? Am I having an experience with it?
Mm.
Um,
Okay.
if I feel totally flat and I don't feel anything, then maybe not so much, not
Mm-hmm.
I feel it. It's very sensory to me, very sensory. And that was a very
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful poem, so rejuvenating.
Mm.
Well, you have the gift, my dear. You have the gift, and I'm so happy that you're sharing your gift in this book, and also in the work that you do, helping mothers. And so I will absolutely leave that information below because, you know, some women, some mothers might feel called to work with you and receive
Right.
that incredible wisdom, that love that you have to offer too in the work that you do. You do it, you know, with your passion and all the things that you do. You do it so passionately. And I love that about you. As long as I've known you, you whatever you're doing, you give all your heart and you just put it all in, and you're an all-in kind of person. And it reflects in your art. And I think that's important. You can't just be halfway artist, halfway poet, halfway lover, halfway anything in this life. It has to be all in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You gotta be all in. And that's one thing I love about you, Selma. You've always been that way. And you know, you have also overcome insurmountable challenges in your life too, you know, and so it's beautiful. It's wonderful to see how you've alchemized everything into your art and your gifts.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think artistry and spirituality for me are like married, I'm gonna say. And they're both like, you know, the first thing in life. And of course, family and
Mm,
motherhood
yeah,
are the next piece.
yeah,
Yeah. So thank you for acknowledging the the way the combination can come through. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And I definitely see you as that beautiful matriarch in your family. I see how you inspire everyone around you and your family. This beautiful gallery that you know, you guys have in LA. What part of LA is it?
It's in Mid-City.
Mid-City.
Yeah, we're just east of the what's technically the Culver City Art District or something. Yeah, just right next to Culver City. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know it's like your energy because it's your grounding, loving energy that inspires others, and it really helps people get to where they need to go, and you hold it down. So thank you so much for all you are, all that you do, and thank you for sharing your beauty, your gifts, and your beautiful crone, you know, wisdom with us. We thank you very much. And I will put all of your information below. So if anybody wants to reach out, you know, visit
Okay.
the gallery, that's all
Excellent.
here for you.
All
And be
right.
sure to grab a copy of Poems from the Heart. It is now on Kindle and it's very soon to be dropping in paperback. And we can't wait for you to get the paperback version. It's going to be a totally different feeling to hold it in your hands and to read it. And maybe we'll do some a poetry reading or something like that because it's very precious.
Yes.
Also precious, and I'm so happy and delighted. And I'm
Oh
happy.
yeah, let's talk more about that too, because we have you know, three of us at least in the Los Angeles area. And yeah, coming together to do something like that would be wonderful. Yeah,
Beautiful. Thank you
especially.
so much, so much, so much. Mwah. Giving you all my love.
Thank
Much love
you.
and blessings to you all. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, bye for now.